Intro. Hi, this is Loader Ricky the Dragon. Human Ricky absolutely loves and adores dragons. It wasn't always that way. There was a period in his life he never paid attention to us. It was just like a fairy tale. Yet, Richard is married to Barbara. She has been extremely interested in dragons her entire life. They were meant to be together. Did you know that the dragon is a symbol of enlightenment in Buddhism? Dragons have been around for trillions of years. We are new kids on the block. We have a lot to learn. Just think the dragons went through the same stuff we are going through. No one gets a free ride when it comes to enlightenment. Life is truly a video game. Carl Jung studied archetype symbols all his life. An archetype symbol holds the energy of the unconscious mind. Dragons hold the key to enlightenment. They became enlightened trillions of years before we showed up on the scene. Yet, as I said before, nobody gets a free ride. The dragons on Earth have the same problems we presently have. We have a hard time getting along with each other. Read my book Dragon Tales to see what I mean. I think it's amazing that many people have different sides of the story when it comes to dragons. In the East, a dragon stands for enlightenment. In time, Chinese Buddhist artists adopted the dragon as a symbol of enlightenment. Today, dragons decorate roofs and gates of temples, both as guardians and to symbolize the dragon power of clarity. Buddhist dragons often are depicted holding a mani jewel, which represents the Buddha's teaching. The symbolism behind dragons. One of the West's most famous dragon slayers was immortalized in the English book The Golden Legend, published in the 1480s. Believed to be part fact and part fiction, this story of England's patron saint, St. George, tells of a knight who came to the aid of a town besieged by a ravenous dragon. The townspeople fed it 2 sheep a day to prevent further attacks on their children, and the king begrudgingly agreed to appease the dragon with his daughter. As the princess awaited a fiery death by dragon, St. George happened upon them both. He smote the dragon into submission and told the princess to lead it home, at which point St. George killed it in front of the king. Dragons, like the one slain by St. George, symbolizes more than the natural forces of destruction. According to Carl Jung, who founded Hungarian psychotic physiologic theory, when a hero is fighting a dragon, he is actually battling his own subconscious. And when a hero struggles to save an innocent hostage, usually a beautiful maiden, it serves a dual purpose. Not only does he save an innocent life, but the act of rescuing her requires the hero's personality to develop. Not all dragons represent the id, though in Japan, Ogansho was a white dragon whose appearance signaled impending feminine. White, not black, is the color traditionally associated with death in Japan. In many cultures, maleficent dragons like Ogansho are typically depicted with their heads pointing down, while dragons that symbolize benevolence are shown with their heads pointing towards the heavens. This dichotomy between good and evil is what differentiates most Eastern and Western dragons. Western dragons symbolize destruction and death, while Eastern dragons symbolizing fortune and great power, both good and bad. In Korea, for example, a dragon signifies the circle of life and is often portrayed with its body in a circular position to symbolize the culture's cyclical view of time. The Chinese zodiac, which includes a dragon, further illustrates this view. The sign, along with its 11 brethren, repeat every 12 years. Little Ricky, History of the Dragons. For around 30 years, from the 70s, Little Ricky's practice has been on developing the inner senses. The following his story and where this incredible foundation took place. Mind you, he never had any conscious connections to the dragon's world.
The following day, I packed up my bags and took a train to Brahmanagar. Maharaji's ashram is near Hardwar. It's a small town in the foothills of the Himalayas. The next 2 weeks I listened to discourses about this knowledge. Something inside of me knew that it was to receive the experience of a lifetime. I knew the door to my soul was to be opened. Words are hard to express the feeling that was going inside of my being. I knew that in a short time I'd be shown and would reveal the secret of life itself. I knew this experience was real. I told a lot of people who had the experience. I could tell and sense that something wonderful was going on. I liked the idea that the proof is in the pudding. I didn't want to join a cult or religious group. I just wanted a direct and continuous experience of the power that's keeping me alive. I knew through practice this could be achieved. During this time, the war between India and Pakistan was going on. Each night there were air raid sirens going on, and off in the distance we could hear bombs going off. There was a general blackout at night. Pakistani bombers were only miles away. Air raid sirens were heard in the distance. At that ashram, the whole place was so serene, while this part of the world, people were dying. Trains of Pakistanis were being massacred going from India to Pakistan, and trainloads of Indians were being massacred going from Pakistan into India. Such a dichotomy. I'll never forget my initiation. There were probably about 20 of us in a small room. Maharaji had initiators who revealed his knowledge. We were in the room while Maharaji was playing on top of the roof directly overhead of us. This experience that I had that day still sends shivers of joy, just merely the thought. The first technique the initiator revealed was the light technique. I always knew that the human being had the ability to see the light inside. This is an actual experience. When the initiator touched my forehead, I felt this incredible surge of energy. I knew at that point that something incredible was going to happen. My whole body and soul sensed it. My consciousness completely left its physical existence. A golden circle of light appeared. Inside of this circle, a brilliant blue star appeared. This golden circle of light and this blue star was so beautiful. It's probably the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. Waves of love, joy, and peace were surging inside my consciousness. All of a sudden, the star transferred into a ray, a tunnel of blue light, which went on for infinity. I merged with the blue ray. It's very hard to describe this experience. I was at home. The doors were open. I was given the keys, and it was up to me to cultivate that experience. I have definite proof that we are more than these bodies. All of a sudden, the mystery of life was revealed. I knew the secrets behind our religion. There was a genuine experience that could be shown and experienced. Years later, I realized that this experience was initiation into Lord Michael Blue Ray. It was the Jacob's Ladder. This experience was the ladder to God. To this day, I'll never forget this experience. It gave me practical proof that God exists. I knew it, but this was a practical experience. It was more real than any outside human experience. I knew my life was on track. I waited years to go home. I was shown such a glorious place. When I returned to this body and regained physical consciousness, my whole body was shaking like a duck. My body had a hard time. Can you imagine being hooked up to the power plant of the whole universe? I knew no damage was done. Over time, I knew that the body was built and designed to handle these kinds of currents. Day by day, through meditation, man can slowly harmonize with these frequencies and begin to vibrate at this frequency. There were 3 other techniques that were revealed. One was the music technique. I was shown how to listen to the innermost frequencies of life. Since God is energy, man has the capability to be in tune and listen to subtle yet energy frequencies. Different religions have different concepts about this experience. By listening to this music over time, man is filled with such a joy and peace in his life. The mind slowly begins to slow down. In this state, man gets in contact with an energy frequency that is infinite. This energy is pure love and bliss. The whole universe is comprised of this energy. It was, is, and will always be. This is the Word of God. Every major religion talks about the Word in some form or another. This is a very simple technique where man can be in direct communication with the subtle energy. When a person first receives this initiation, the Word is very subtle. The majority of people really don't understand the power of this Word. I know a lot of people who took this experience and never really tried it out. Over time, I can consciously put myself in direct communication with this Word. My whole being is instantly filled with such a wave of love and bliss. I'm out there 24 hours a day, but I know it's possible. I have had experiences that I was completely taken out of this physical world and taken into a place where there's no time and space. The only thing existed was this incredible energy of love. I know I was at home with my Father. This energy exists throughout all creation. It exists in the manifest and unmanifest. It exists throughout time and space and beyond. All of creation came from this Word. In the Bible in St. John, the verse goes like this: in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. Human beings have the capability to tune into this experience. The last experience was one of the living waters or nectar experience. When man is in this experience, powerful hormones and enzymes are secreted through the endocrine system. Through the ages, man has learned that he has a capability to actually experience this nectar or living water. Just one drop of this is an incredible, powerful experience. One drop has the capability to take man's consciousness into a definite altered state. This fluid is very cleansing to the body. When Christ was in the desert for 40 days and nights, he lived off this manna. This experience is energy in its subtle form. It is energy, yet it transmutes itself into matter. This experience is very powerful to the endocrine system. I've had numerous experiences of this nectar. It's probably the most intoxicating drug known in the universe. Unlike a drug which has side effects, this experience is completely beneficial to the body and soul. These experiences reveal over time who we truly are. We are more than our mind or body. We are in fact the source of life. Each one of us are part of this universal consciousness. We just don't remember it. It's amazing when we were born, we came from the source. Our whole body was this consciousness. Over time, we forgot. Years later, we have completely forgotten of our true existence. After the initiation, I thank my Creator for revealing Himself to me. My dreams come true. I had the tools. Everything made sense to me. I could read the scriptures and understand the hidden meaning. The scriptures were at the same wavelength. I had a lot of respect for the major religions. following day, I was sitting by the Ganges meditating when I completely lost consciousness of this planet. I saw a light more brilliant than the noonday sun. My consciousness was flowing into a river of nectar. I felt the whole Ganges river was flowing through me. Maharaji had a beautiful poem by Rumi, a great Sufi teacher, that sums it up. It goes like this. There is a palace in the sky without any foundation. A blind man sees a light more brilliant than a million suns. A deaf man listens to the unstruck music. A lame man climbs up a well and drinks the nectar, becomes totally intoxicated. The quencher is only a wise man understands what I'm talking about. From then on, my life was to change drastically. After my initiation and this experience, my life was never the same. I was shown something so incredible that my focus was on this experience. My whole life from then on was based upon practically cultivating this experience. Day by day, I was going deeper and deeper into my existence. My days in India were spent in meditation and spending time with Maharaji. Meditation was such an incredible experience. I call it going to the movies. Day by day, I was going deeper and deeper into realms I'd never been before. Prabhnagar was such a beautiful place. I was thousands of miles away from home, and then again, I was truly at home. I was content and full of such an incredible bliss. My mind was learning to focus on something inside of me that never changes, that was and will always be. I was learning how to be connected to that experience 24 hours a day. I practiced meditation like how I surf with joy and the thrill of riding the waves of life. To this day, I'm still blown away that this experience is lying dormant inside of humanity, just waiting to be discovered. We are searching for the jewel, and the jewel is hidden inside of each one of us. Over time, it's not all bliss and roses with this experience. I had to face my mind. The mind is such a powerful thing. It can be your friend or enemy. I learned over time to become its friend. In the beginning, at times, I thought I would go crazy. The mind was constantly chattering. I would sit for hours, and at times I wanted to get up and just forget the whole thing. But then I would break through. Then that experience would rush in and completely saturate your being. You are bliss. I felt that I had to break down the door. Over time, I walked through the door, and my mind hasn't bothered me in this way since. I'm not saying my mind doesn't bother me. At times it does. But when I close my eyes or put my connection on this Word of God, my whole being is filled with bliss. In the beginning, it took tremendous effort to have this kind of experience. In the beginning, you meditate on the experience. Years later, that experience meditates on you. I remember that a few days before Christmas, the whole ashram took a train ride from Hardwar to Patna, a city in Bihar, India. Bihar is one of the forest states in India. The scenery was beautiful. We were traveling on this old, funky Indian train. We could see swamps that were full of lotus flowers. Wildlife was everywhere. Maharaji was having a 3-day program. I remember at the festival there was probably 1 million people there. At one point in the festival, the Arya Samaj attacked the festival. I'm not sure how many people died. The group caused a lot of trouble in India. It was kind of scary to sit on stage watching fighting only a half mile away. India was quite a different place. The people were quite friendly. They liked Westerners. The Indian people in general had a strong conviction for God. Before leaving to Bihar, my friend Peter left to go back to America. I loaned him the money, which I got back in South Africa. The Westerners left in January. There were only a few of us left. I spent my remaining time in Delhi. I remember I would meditate and go into town. The Indian food was great. I bumped into the son of James Arness. His father was a famous actor in Hollywood. He played in Gunsmoke on TV. He had a son, Ralph, at the time, who was a world champion surfer. It was quite funny meeting him. I was buying a kilo of cashews for $1. I just started talking to him. During this time, Maraji was planning to go to South Africa. He needed a few Westerners to go and help set up the necessary arrangement. Somehow, Maraji's mother asked me to go. So in early February, we embarked to Bombay. When I was young and in India, I heard this incredible poem. There's a palace in the sky without any foundation. A blind man sees a light more beautiful than a million suns. A deaf man listens to the unstruck music. A lame man climbs the ladder and drinks the nectar and gets totally intoxicated. The poem goes on and on. The final clincher is the following. Only a wise man understands what I'm talking about. These aren't just some pretty words. The entire universe exists inside of your heart.
Palace in the sky. O seeker of truth, I have witnessed such a great wonder. A well suspended in the sky from which ambrosia ceaselessly flows. A lame person climbs to it without any ladder and drinks jugs of that nectar. Gongs, conches, and kettle drums ring out without being played by anyone. The deaf hear them and become ecstatic. They lose track of body and mind. Up there is a palace without foundation, which is radiant with light. The blind seize it and are so overjoyed they can't stop talking about it. In that place, a person dies, yet continues to live and has strength without eating food. Brahmanan says that only a rare soul can understand his tale. Commentary. I first heard this poem when I was 18 years old in India. It made a precious memory inside of me. There is a jewel inside that mankind can discover. Only a wise man understands what I'm talking about. Glimpse of the Indivisible. Lightning flash in my eye, O friend, and brightly did shine the light of the moon. I got a glimpse of the invisible within, and thirst and longing for the Lord were aroused. My ears received the boom of unstruck music, and knowledge came like the explosion of light, O friend. Dark clouds began to scatter, and the sight of the divine mansion was revealed unto me. Beyond the sun, the moon, and the tunnel, Tulsi beheld the abode of the Lord Almighty. The miracle. I saw a miracle, my friends. What an incredible miracle I saw. There is a well of nectar hidden in the sky, which is always filled with joy. A lame man climbs up without a ladder and drank till he was quenched. Without anybody playing, bells, conches, and drums playing night and day. A deaf man heard them and became so intoxicated he forgot about his body. Without a foundation, there is a palace standing, glowing from inside. A blind man saw everything and described it in detail. A living man died and came back alive. Without food, he is strong and healthy. Only a rare person can understand my vision.
When I lived in Miami Beach, I read an article in Omni magazine about the Monroe Institute. Robert Monroe was a radio engineer in the late 50s. One day he was sleeping, he felt himself drifting outside of his body. He thought he was dying. He had this experience recurring every month or so. Finally, he went to the doctor. He was concerned that he was going crazy or he had some major illness. Robert told the doctor what was happening, and the doctor told him that maybe he was having an out-of-body experience. He recommended some books to read on the subject. Robert Monroe learned that his experiences were about the same as his. Maybe he wasn't so crazy after all. The experience kept on coming. Being a radio engineer, he thought, can I produce this experience by using sound waves? After years of research, he learned to utilize sound waves. He came up with a system which uses sound waves to trigger the right and left hemisphere synchronization of the brain. This technique can be modified for learning, health, exploring, etc. The Omni article said he had a week-long course in the foothills of Virginia. I was fascinated by this article, called the office, and found out there was an opening for the course. This course is called Gateways. I arrived at the site of the course and was captivated by the beauty of the place. The site was in the mountains. There were a few houses in the property. The foundation owned a good chunk of land. We were oriented on days of what to be. They took away our watches, so we had no idea what time it was. This is no ordinary course. Most courses I know are a lecture. This course was based upon experience. At the Institute, our actual living quarters was our laboratory. Each bed had its own individual unit. There were headphones with a microphone, which I'll tell about later. There was a curtain which closed off the bed so no light could come in. Each unit was totally self-contained. At the first meeting, they told us a schedule. We would get up in the morning, shower, and then play a series of tapes. After each tape, we would go to a conference room and talk about our experience. We would do this throughout the day. We would have lunch and breaks throughout the day. Day 1 started. We learned about Focus 10. The step was about how to put your body asleep at the same time keep our mind awake. The tapes were incredibly produced. We put on these headphones, lie down on our bed, and have these incredible experiences. Day after day, the experiences would build on each other. I remember some experience being completely taken out of my body and being bathed in light. There were talks with angels. I call the Monroe Institute the Disneyland of spirituality. It was amazing to go to a place and see modern scientific equipment being used for self-discovery. So many of these tapes were for our own self-discovery. I remember in some tapes I could hardly walk afterwards. I was quite shy and didn't talk too much about my experiences. I would recommend this program to anybody. During our course, we had a doctor, minister, computer programmers, housewives, and people from all walks of life. It was definitely worth it. Robert Monroe is definitely an amazing man. He's definitely on the cutting edge of technology. Intro. This is Richard Fletcher, Monday, October something, second day of the Gateway program. I would like to say at this point, I'm diving deeper and discovering more of myself, and I'm very impressed by the whole operation that is happening around here. Energy bar tool. My experience was building the energy bar was going to take some time to get into in order to develop it. It wasn't too hard to construct. My experience was very simple. I kind of drifted to sleep. I wasn't there for the whole time, but I had some powerful connections beforehand to see this energy bar could take me to another dimension. It could take me to the other side. It definitely has endless possibilities for what this bar can be used for. I can use this bar as a beacon to attract my guides, or to use it to protect me from other things. It looks like a versatile tool. I just need to develop more and more usage of it. Freeform 10. This tape was Freeform 10. My experience was using the energy bar and trying to see and trying to feel how I could actually use it in a practical form. I used this energy bar to create a vibration inside of me that was vibrating faster, 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 and faster. I then used the energy bar to go up and down my body. I used it like a laser to take away all the negative energy and impurities from my body. I would then take it into my brain and subconscious. From there, it turned my dark subconscious into light. From there, I had the ability to be more conscious. Then I used the energy bar to create swirling effects around my body. This would create a much more intense kind of energy. I put this energy bar in my third eye. I was experiencing an inner dimension. Liftoff. This is the Liftoff tape. This tape, I found myself I lifted myself through the roof, through the clouds, past the moon. I lifted myself and then lowered myself down. I was putting together the kinesiology of actual lifting off. Introduction to Focus 12. Before the tape even began, I was just completely sailing inside. I was totally just accepting myself. I was trying to accept my hesitations. Hesitations is your friend. Just go inside and enjoy the experience just like a child. In the Focus 12 state is such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful state. It is a state of freedom, of joy, and of happiness. It was an expanded state of awareness. I was experiencing this state just like a child. A child just accepts and accepts. This is the place I want to be all the time, the place of acceptance. If the hesitation is there, accept it just like a friend. It's okay. I don't have to control any kind of experience. All I have to do is ride on that energy, just ride on that joy, just ride on that beauty, and ride on that light. All I have to do is let the experience come to me on its own accord. I know what I'm looking for, and I know it's happening moment by moment. It will open up to me in its prime moment. In the meantime, I will just enjoy each experience that comes to me. I'm putting my attention on what is coming my way. I'm not being directed towards one aspect of what I think is supposed to happen, but just to have an open mind. Focus 12 is such a beautiful state. I've been there many, many times before. Problem solving. This tape is called Problem Solving. My problem that I was trying to solve was the question, how can I practically leave my body consciously? I had this one vision walking down the stairs from the Gateway program, from upstairs to downstairs. And then an answer came to me that I'm learning the tools. Don't really worry about it. Everything will simply come to you. It's just a matter of relaxing into that experience and just accept it. It will come in due time. Most of all, just be patient. It will come. There are means. This is not a supernatural thing. If you practice, it will happen. It will manifest. This was the question I put out,
and I waited, and this was the answer that I got. I'm just learning how to more visualize and to see images and to accept images. There's something for me to learn from these images. In the past, I would ignore them, but I know not to look at them. I now know to look at them and to embrace them. Free Flow 12. The name of this tape is Free Flow 12. My main objective was to explore this state of consciousness. I just let go and just enjoy this state of consciousness. It's very beautiful, that experience I had. I was just bathing in the light of experiencing that beautiful vibration inside. I was just riding that wave and riding that energy inside. I saw a picture of a person named Catherine who was there. I was just experiencing her inner beauty and her happiness. I was just experiencing a very simple friendship. It was very beautiful and very simple. I just rode with that experience and was open to various nonverbal communication experiences. I have the ability inside of me. It's there and it's latent, and I have experience with my brother. Overall, it's a very simple, beautiful experience. It was beautiful to see the potential that is there. I'm very happy with this place. I'm very happy to partake in this program, just to relax and swim and socialize. I feel I'm really establishing a stronger connection inside. Free movement. The name of this tape is Free Movement. There are different positions to leave the body. The first one was the most powerful. I feel with this technique I can master it with some practice. It's a very powerful way to explore different worlds and dimensions inside of myself. The next thing was lifting myself up from a string lying down and lifting myself up at a 45-degree angle. This is very powerful. All in all, I can see the glimpse that I can experience the freedom that I want. I see that it's happening. In the long road, I will definitely have that experience. 5 questions. There's the tape called 5 Questions. The first question is, who am I? My last lifetime, I realized I was a student of Ramakrishna, a famous Indian saint in the 1800s. My name was N. I wrote the Gospel of Ramakrishna. That's what I read, the autobiography of a yogi, completely identified with Yogananda. Yogananda would come and see me as a child. My next question is, what is my purpose here? My purpose here on earth is to expand, become completely one with the Lord, and to express His knowledge and love. Also to establish the kind of communication a human being can have with his Creator. The message that I was told to do was keep on trucking, keep on going, and I will be led to areas I never knew existed. This workshop that I'm doing is something I wanted to do for a long time. All my dreams and aspirations are coming true. This tape was delightful just to go deeper and deeper into this experience. Non-verbal communication. I just can't believe it. This tape is non-verbal communication. I just got totally taken away. I saw all these incredible things, lights coming on my navel, blooming to a lotus blossom, a Christmas tree with Lord Jesus on it. The next thing I knew, around this table were people from outer space sitting around. They were just talking to me, and there was such a feeling of love, energy, emotion, excitement, and joy. My whole body was sweating, and tears of joy were streaming down my face. Now I know what the experience at NBC is. It's such an incredible place and experience. This is the type of communication that human beings are meant to have. I just wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm just totally 100% fulfilled. I just can't believe this. This form of communication is so beautiful. Just to see and feel the kind of communication that we can have. Just pure love being transferred. Introduction to Focus 15. This tape was the introduction to Focus 15. My experience of this time was to sense and experience a state of no time. There was a tremendous void. a tremendous light inside of me. By being with this light, it's possible to travel to any time zone, past, present, and future. It's wonderful to know that through this experience, I can learn to do so. I can slowly just ease myself into this consciousness. It's incredible to know that there's a place that is beyond time. There is so much energy that was hard to get used to. Free Flow 15. This tape was Free Flow 15. I experienced a beautiful love with Kathy. I experienced a beautiful connection between us. I just completely want to dive into that experience. I know I've met her before, but I don't remember where. See, Maledict experience. My daughter was there, and her daughter was there. We were all playing and laughing together. It was so much fun. We were all experiencing so much joy and happiness. No tape experience. This was the no tape experience. This was like all the rest of the tapes. I brought myself into 10, then 12, then 15. All the states I experienced and an inner NVC communication. I just rode this inner wave that keep on getting faster and faster and faster. I found myself in the various states of consciousness. It was so easy to just go right through them. When I reached the 15th state, I just explored that state. It was so beautiful to be in its place where there's no time, just love, light, and happiness. We don't need these tapes. They're just like training wheels on a bicycle. It's nice to know there's a technique that we can use to experience this. The silence is wonderful and beautiful. I'm very happy to know that I can incorporate this into my life. It's all happening. What incredible love that exists inside. It's so natural and beautiful. Communication point 15. Communication point 15. I went to a state and asked for any kind of messages. The messages I received were in the form of NVC, verbal communication. My first message was a picture of Kathy. The next picture was an image of a dove, which gave me peace. Then I was brought up and saw the image of Sri Maharaji. My whole feeling was sensing, discovering that there's a communication in this state. Is where communication can occur between your guides and teachers. They can, in this state, teach you and communicate with you. They communicate not so much with words, but with images. They can transmit their experiences through images. I just need to learn more and more about this. I'm very hopeful about communicating with my guides. No name tape. Before this tape started, they played Amazing Grace. I couldn't believe what was going on. Maharaji was there in his crown and glory. It brought me back where I was 15 years ago. It was very emotional and I cried a lot. Just to experience the joy inside. Amazing grace. This life is truly amazing. It really is glorious. I then kind of drifted off. When I came back, I was surrounded by swans. I really tried to do the tape, but with some of the techniques I couldn't quite understand. The main thing I wanted to emphasize was an amazing grace. It truly is amazing, amazing beyond words. That is the main thing I wanted to communicate. Relation Galaxy. The name of this tape was Relation Galaxy. At this point, I was supposed to put on my headphones. I was just totally God. I went to this place, the center of the universe. At the center was this incredible power of love, the primordial energy for this universe. It was beyond words to explain, to experience the unity of the universe being supported by this primordial vibration. I saw in this state swans and a beautiful lotus flower that was blooming and blooming. There exists in this place all the great masters. There exists that divine light, the light of God, which exists everywhere. This is such a wonderful place to be. I was experiencing my body like an astronaut experiencing the various G-forces. My whole body was totally contorted. I'm still not out of that place. I just want to live there and dwell there. 5 messages. The name of this message was 5 messages. The 5th message was had something to do in December. There is a mission that I'm getting prepared for. I moved from Miami to California with Catherine in December. My 4th one was that I should be good friends with Kathy. The number 1 message was devotion to the Lord. I should be an example of this. The Lord wants love. Number 2 was that everything I ever desired will come true. All my dreams will be satisfied. Another purpose that came to me was to love everybody I encounter. I should be an example, accepting people of who they are and love them without condition. I should be a simple messenger of the Lord. I don't remember the other one. Vibe Flow. This tape was called Vibe Flow. This is a real nice tape. Bob Robert Monroe just increased the frequency level. I just got in tune with that frequency level. I just went higher and higher and higher. Shh. I was totally absorbed in that energy. Half that experience was traveling at the speed of light. It's like being in a rocket going faster than warp speed. It was traveling at the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second. Next on the tape was music from the session. I forgot to turn off the tape. I was completely blown away. I was in total bliss. This music just brings me back to that state. I was in total awe. There was a laughter in the background. The rest of the people were discussing their experiences. Side 2. During this music, I was seeing a picture of Sri Maharaji's father. I saw an image of Sri Maharaji holding Maharaji. I had an NVC experience of going into a dream and coming out and realizing this was an NVC experience. I just wanted to go back inside for a few more minutes. I could very easily just leave and never come back. Long pause. 15 to 20. The name of this tape was 15 to 20. I felt I was resonating with the colors green and purple. It'll take me time to slowly know what this experience means. Slowly, I will begin to understand all this. Long pause. Music is playing in the background. 1-1 patterning. This tape is called 1-1 patterning. I kind of zoned out of this tape. I just have to have something in my mind, hold it, and repeat it every single day, and will come true. By putting my subconscious over time, it will come to existence. I am incorporating everything in my life. The main key is to utilize these tools in my life. I am the director of my life. I am in charge of maintaining and expressing my emotions. At the same time, I just enjoyed the feeling of love that was all around. I had such a peaceful rest. I forgot to turn off the tape. Long periods of silence. Freeform 21. The name of this tape is Freeform 21. I just got totally taken inside of me. I just really enjoyed the experience inside of myself. The joy and peace were overflowing. All my guides and teachers were there. Once again, I forgot to turn off the tape. Freeform 15. My experience on Freeform 15 was completely wonderful. I went to such a deep place inside. I had this wonderful experience that happened there. Catherine was there, and we're just beings of light. There was this big heart that surrounded us. We were just one in that heart. Out of that heart, our souls just merged. From the light came from my third eye and Catherine's third eye. was like two laser beams of light and love merging into our bodies. We just totally became one. It was like a sexual experience, but it didn't contain sexual energy. It was just pure love. We were both totally fulfilled in that love, in that joy, in that happiness. I was inside of her and she was just riding the wave of love. Both of us were in tune and in synchronization and experienced the oneness of each other. Coming from her breast was this liquid light which I was drinking. Each drop tasted like nectar. I was completely intoxicated. At one point her daughter appeared, my daughter appeared, and we all hugged each other. We were all laughing and dancing and singing. It was just like a family of love, beings of love. Another point after this self-expression, Catherine just laid on top of me. I just totally melded into her. We just exchanged the beautiful love that existed between us. Both of us were totally saturated in that love. We were both in tune with each other. It was such a wonderful feeling. I feel I've known her for a while. I don't know where. Somehow there's a connection between Catherine, myself, and Srimraji. I haven't figured it out. I just have these feelings that something beautiful and simple is manifesting in my life. I'm open to it. Later on, in one of my tapes, I received a message that on Thanksgiving, my daughter and I should go and visit Catherine and her child in Virginia. We should just go and play and have fun. Introduction to Focus 21. The introduction to Focus 21 was completely a mind-blowing experience. As soon as I put on my headphones, I was tuned into that light. I was completely submerged in that light inside. I was just totally taken over. I was flying with a whole group of swans. There was this beautiful lake where thousands of lotus flowers were just blooming and blooming. I went through the various states of consciousness. I went from 10 to 12 to 15 to all the different colors. At 21, a marvelous thing happened. Bob was there, Robert Monroe, and he was just shining. He was his joyful self. He just looked up to me smiling and gave me the thumbs up sign. He said, "Go for it and enjoy that experience." There was so much love and communication between us. I recognized him and he recognized me. Both of us know that this is an incredible journey, the ultimate journey. Once he said that, I was completely ready to accept and experience that wonderful light of my existence. I then went to a place where I experienced a life that was supreme love and intelligence. Every single cell of my existence was filled with this intelligence. I was just one and bathing in that light and joy. I was just flying like a swan. I was just flying like that beautiful bird. That swan is free. I felt like my soul was free. My soul was just singing in that joy and happiness inside. I was just one. It was so wonderful. Freeform 21. One of the most amazing tape experiences was Freeform 21. I don't think there's any words to describe what happened there. From the moment I put on my headphones, throughout the entire process, I was riding the waves of ecstasy and joy. Technically, Bob Monroe was a genius to develop that tape. The sound that he was emitting were the sounds and frequencies that reside inside. It was completely a marvelous experience. I was completely experiencing the oneness of joy. I had these visions of Catherine. She would just smile at me and just drift off. Once again, I would dive deeper and deeper into that experience inside. I would go deeper and deeper into that light. My whole body was like an astronaut experiencing the G-force. I was experiencing how powerful and incredible the energy is. This energy touches my whole molecular structure, and even beyond that, it reaches the soul and the very essence of life. I felt so wonderful that everything is on track in my life. I have a vision, a quest, and it's happening. All my dreams are coming true on all levels. One experience that I want to express, I went to bed on the last night of the program about 12 o'clock. I was kind of tired. I just needed to go inside and experience that inner beauty. I drifted off to sleep and was just in that place of love. I was in a nice deep sleep. Around 3 o'clock in the morning, I was woke up with a bang. I automatically just woke up. Something inside of me told me to go take a shower and go see Catherine. I did this. I was kind of hesitant. What am I doing? I just had this faith and intuition to do this. I went up to Catherine's room and very quietly walked into her room. I opened up her curtain and very slowly touched her. She looked at me and she couldn't tell. She was in a state of shock herself. She thought at first I was a ghost. All she could see was my head because the rest of the body was behind the curtain. She looked at me and said, "Is that you or is it a ghost?" I reassured her that yes, it was me. I just climbed into bed with her and just held her the rest of the night. We just exchanged the feeling of love that we had. We just caressed each other and loved each other. It was such a warm inner exchange of love. It wasn't a sexual energy. It was like the energy of love, of satisfaction, and of joy. It was a wonderful experience. At times I would find myself snoring. My body was asleep, but I was wide awake. I was such in a beautiful state inside. I was completely surrounded by love. That's all these beautiful swans completely surrounded us. They were protecting us and saying everything is a-okay. Everything is going to plan. Just relax and enjoy each other. At one point, when Catherine was drifting off to sleep, I saw one of my gods named Running Water. I saw his face and saw he was an Indian. At one point we were brothers. We were once in a state of laughing and playing and interacting with the forces of nature. It was such a beautiful connection. I remember coming out of a dream state and all of a sudden, bam, there he was. We talked to each other for some time. He was the eternal brave. He was forceful, powerful, and full of love. That consciousness lies inside of me. I felt so wonderful the whole night. What a wonderful way to end the week.
Yeah, this is Richard Fletcher, and this is Monday, October something, and the second day of the Gateway program. And I'd like to say that up to this point, I'm diving deeper and discovering more of myself, and I'm very impressed by the whole operation that is happening around here. And this Gateway program, thanks. This is the energy bar tool. My experience was building the energy bar. Was going to take some time to get into it. When you develop it, and this is not a tool you can actually use it for. It wasn't too hard to construct. It was a very, actually my experience was very, very simple. I kind of drifted to sleep. Kind of wasn't there the whole time. But I definitely had some powerful connections beforehand, seeing that this energy bar could take me to another dimension, could take me to the other side. It's definitely got endless possibilities of what a bar can be used for. Definitely through this bar, I think I can probably use it as a beacon from now on to attract guides or to attract other people who can protect me from other things. So probably all in one versatile tool. And I just need to develop more and more usage of it and to see exactly where I can actually implement it and what way, what form can it be reused. And that's the end of that. this is a little different way. One, I use the energy bar to create a vibration inside of me, like the vibration, that frequency, like instant, like move after, faster and faster and faster and faster. Everything that I'm supposed to use the energy bar, I go up and down my body. Use this as a laser to take away all the negative energy, all the negativity in my body. Then into my brain, into my subconscious, and there, journey, darkness, unconscious, into light, to more consciousness, becoming aware of the change in myself. Then I use the energy bar to create a swirling effect on my body. Swirl, swirl, swirl around me, creating intense energy. I let the energy bar in my third eye. I dove into it. Just experiencing the place. It's actually a bad place, but to know that the energy bar helped me reach experience another dimension. And let's see what else. This is the Liftoff Tape, and in this tape when I experience it, simply lifting myself up to the top of the roof into a cloud, and then I lifted myself up past, around the area past the moon. And it was more of a visualization exercise than an actual liftoff. But I visualized each step of the process, lifting myself up and lowering myself down. And mostly I visualize it by seeing inside and actually trying to put myself in that place and being in that place inside. Trying to see and feel and put together the kinesiologies of actually lifting up. Okay, that's it. Okay, this is introduction to Focus 12. And before the tea began, I was already just completely sailing inside. What I tried to do was just this time, a long time, just totally accept myself from the hesitations, and that's what I meditate. I'm just trying to be there. Just to accept that self. Just accept that thing. The hesitation is my friend. I'm gonna just go inside. Enjoy, just like a child. And the Focus 12 state was such an incredible, beautiful state. State of freedom and joy and happiness. Being This tape was called Problem Solving, and my problem that I'm trying to solve was a question. So I don't know how can I practically leave my body consciously at will. And I had one vision of walking down the stairs, or the gate open from upstairs to downstairs. And then, as I consciously through my question slide another answers that I found were able to say that I'm being prepared, I'm learning the tools, don't really worry about it, but simply everything will come to you. This is a matter of relaxing into that experience and accepting it, and it will come in its time, and most of all, just be patient, and it will come. These are needs. They're not a supernatural thing. Some, not others. But if you just practice it, it will happen. It will manifest. And this was an experience that basically I put out, and I waited, and I came back. And I'm just learning now to more visualize and to see images, to accept images, and to see that there's something for me to learn from them, something to learn from images, things that maybe in the past I would ignore. Now I have the opportunity to actually focus, perceive. And the name of this tape was Free Flow 12, and my main object was really to explore this state of consciousness, really to just let go and simply enjoy and to experience what this place could take me. And it's a very beautiful experience that I have, of just completely just being in the light and just experiencing that incredible vibration inside. It's simply just riding with the wave and just riding with the energy and being with it and seeing the many, many forms inside. And I saw a picture of a person here named Kathy who was here and just experiencing her inner her happiness. It's just very simple friendship. And it's just very, very beautiful, very simple. And I just grow with that experience and experiencing and being opened up to various NPC's communication. Because I know I have the ability inside. It's there. It's leading me to experience with my brother. And overall, just a very simple, beautiful experience, just being open and experiencing just the potential that lies there. And I'm very happy right here, very happy in this place, very happy just to have the opportunity to be at this program, to relax and to swim and to go and have fun and be with people and be with myself and really establish that connection inside, that foundation. The name of this tape was Streamline, and this tape, there are different positions how to leave the body. And the first one, actually the very most powerful, was doing the law drill. I tried that several times. I feel like that practice very powerful. You just go and explore different worlds and different dimensions inside myself, inside this universe. Practice making it. And the next thing was letting myself up on the street to board, lay down, to stand up for 45 degrees. alone. So I will see it, of course, that yes, I can experience that freedom of all directions. But being put on that walk without this body. And I see that it's alive, it is that no longer often, because I feel myself slowly chilling in the stomach to time. Just turn and just slowly turn. This experience this is a tape called 5 Questions. And the first question was, who am I? And my last pass of that and I realized that I was a devotee of Ramakrishna, and that was, my name was N. And I guess I wrote the Gospel of Ramakrishna. And that's why one time when I was a kid, I went to Bhakti as a yogi, and I identified with Yogananda. Yogananda would often come and see me as a child. And I guess some question about what was my purpose here. My purpose here on earth is to expand and to become completely one with my Lord, and to express His knowledge, His love, and then establish the type of communication that a human being can have with his Creator and all glories, manifestations. And when it came to what my purpose is, my purpose was really to do that. And when I say what the message was, the message that they told me to do was to just keep on trucking, essentially, just keep on going and expanding, and really open myself, and they will lead me to areas. And this workshop that I'm doing, I dreamed this a long time ago, this family manifesting, and all those dreams that I have, aspirations, are really, really going to come true, and they are coming true. And this was delightful, really beautiful, just to go. And the question was, who am I? And I'm just this is NPC, and I just got totally just completely taken away. I just saw all these incredible things, like this, light coming out of my navel, blooming dog blossom, a Christmas tree with Jesus on it. Next thing I know is around this table was some kind of people from outer space, and they're just talking to me, and just so much feeling of just love, energy, and emotion, and excitement, and joy, and my body just sweating, and just tears from my eyes, and I'm just joyous. So now I know what NPC was. I had that time again, and it's such an incredible place, incredible experience. To know there's the type of communication that's happening. Oh man. I just started to say thank you. Oh man. I'm just totally 100% fulfilled. I just can't believe. This, the communication guess this tape was the introduction to 15. I guess this tape was the introduction to 15. In my experience at this tape was brought to a point where I could really sense that there was no time. There's a tremendous void, tremendous light, where everything light in that, and that was inside of myself. And I just do that, being in it, all being there. So from that time zone, it's possible to travel to any time zone desire. That's that light, that experience that we follow. It's wonderful to know how to just slowly just ease myself into that consciousness. Missions, things that I want to do in this state. Absolutely wonderful to know, to experience that. There is a place that is beyond time. I've heard about it before, but I've never actually experienced it. It was beautiful light, brave, beyond time. This was no tape experience. I guess it was just like all the rest of the tapes. I just brought myself into 10, then 12, and then 15, and then all of those states. There was an inner hymn-seek within which I clearly just listened to and just wrote that, and we just made it faster and faster. I just found myself in the various states of consciousness, just clear and easy, just going right through them. And just in the 15th state, I just explored that state. Just beautiful, just to be in a place where there's no time, just light and love and happiness and joy. it's nice to know that there's a real embracing technique inside where you just listen to. The silence is so beautiful, so wonderful. Just listen, be, experience the beauty inside. I guess I'm very happy just to know that incorporate this into my life, and the knowledge inside has been really key. Good to see that it's all happening. And this incredible, incredible love that exists inside. And this is all coming so natural and so beautiful and so wonderful. Okay, the communication point 15. I went on stage and I asked he got messages. The messages about one non-verbal communication. And the first message was a picture of Kathy. And the next picture was an image of a dove looking at peace. And then they brought us down the whole image of Streamline. The whole feeling that I just sensing, discovering the day's communication and from this 15th state, the timeless state, and that's where my guides teach me and lead me and communicate with me, and communicate in a language, not in words but in images. And that's something that's interesting. Subtly images. I just need to learn more about them. I guess that's about all I can say. Just I'm very hopeful about communicating with my guides and learning more about my imagery inside. Learning that helps me enhance working things really hard. Manifesting my life. Yes, this tape was in motion. And before the tape started, they played Amazing Grace. I really couldn't believe it. The magic was there. All this crown, the glory. And I got just so emotional because it just brought me back where I was 15 years old. And it was very emotional and cried up. Just experience the joy. The amazing grace. This life really is amazing. It really is glorious. And the scenes that the fears that kind of drifted off, and when I came back, I was just surrounded by some swans in the swans inside. I really tried to get to the tape. My emotions I did the fear, rejection, and the fear of change. I guess some of the techniques of tape is a hard time knowing what it was and had to work that out a little bit more. But maybe that makes what it was. It's just an amazing grace. It really is. was a Malaysian galaxy. At this point, as soon as I put on my headphones, I was totally just gone. And I just went to this place. It's the center of the universe. And in the center of the universe was this incredible power of love, the primordial energy of the universe. It was completely so wonderful, so beautiful, just to feel the unity of the universe is being supported by this primordial vibration, by this energy, by the Word of God. And I visualized in that state swans and this beautiful lotus flower just blooming and blooming and blooming. And that place, there exists all the masters, my guides, and that divine light, that light that exists, that light of God. And that was such a wonderful, wonderful place to be. Just experience that building block. And I was going to those phases, and my body was like an astronaut experiencing the various G's force, energy. It just makes my body feel totally contorted. We're still not out of that place. Just want to live there, dwell there. Okay, maybe this exercise was 5 messages. And the 5th message was that I have something to do in a couple of months, maybe in December or something of this year. There's a mission that I'm getting prepared for. It's something that's really going to happen to me. And then my 4th one was that they were saying that I should be good friends with Kathy. And that means just being a good spiritual friend. Help her and support her. And just really love, Susan and Dion. And just see whatever happens. But just take care of her. And then we start tackling the little one. The number one thing they wanted was me to really express devotion to how the Lord wants love in His time of love. He just wants me to do that. And then number 2 is just to know that anything I want, I've ever dreamed about and received in a dream and all that will come true. That I want the opportunity to completely satisfy all my dreams and be one and just completely live in that state. And another purpose was to really love everybody who I encounter, is to be that peaceful, is to really love and express love to everybody that I meet, is to be an example of being a messenger of the Lord. And I don't remember the other one. What was the other? This tape was 5 flow, and actually this was a real nice tape. Just Bob just increased that frequency level, just got tuned to the frequency level. And just went higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. And that's where it's completely absorbed in that energy and that love. Nothing new, but there's still incredible. Just half that experience of just going, just rocking in the way, swimming.
Intro. Come with me on this precious journey of life. This book first got started way back in 2001. I first heard about the Kabbalah back in the mid-70s. Until recently, you had to be Jewish, you had to be a male, you had to be over 40. The Kabbalah was an esoteric aspect of Jewish tradition. It existed for over 2,000 years. In September of 2001, my wife and I embarked on this incredible journey. Karen Greenberg was a great teacher who taught a group of us in Penn Valley, California. She lived in Michigan. Karen came 4 times a year to teach us. We had monthly classes where we would meet at our house. My wife and I were instructors for this class. We'd say, if you want to learn something, you should teach it. Well, I decided to channel the wisdom. I used the book Ted Andrews, which had all the archetype symbols for each Sephirah. This is called the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life is a diagram used in various mystical traditions. It usually consists of 10 nodes symbolizing different archetypes and 22 lines connecting the nodes. The nodes are often arranged into 3 columns to represent they belong to a common category. We only study the 10 nodes. For each node, we spent the month studying and experiencing the particular node or Sephirah. This is from Wikipedia. Carl Jung understood archetypes as universal arcane patterns and images that derive from the collective unconscious and are the psychic counterpart of instinct. They have inherent potentials that are actualized when they enter consciousness as images or manifest in behavior on interaction with the outside world. To be quite frank, I never worked with archetype symbols before. I first was exposed to them at the Monroe Institute in the mid-80s. I spent a week there. For some reason, it was love at first sight. With my meditation experience, I found it easy to tap into each symbol. I believe there are universal archetype symbols that exist in the collective unconscious. You might ask yourself, why would anybody want to learn this? Well, I like the analogy. The goal is to have your feet on the ground and your head in heaven. I like that statement. I like the idea to be proactive in life. Most of humanity is reactive. We can't control our minds and emotions. Look at the current situation today. People are divided. The nation is divided. People are flaming each other on Facebook. As I said, our class only studied an individual Sephirah for a month. In the old days, they studied one a year. Times have changed. Personally, I think the learning aspect has quit. Knowledge and wisdoms come from the heart. When the mind and heart are in coherence, the ability to gain wisdom occurs. I hope this book will help guide you on your journey in life. We all have our particular point of view on life. This is my personal journey. It has made me a better person. To be honest, I don't study this anymore, yet the foundation lies inside of me. Day by day, moment by moment, my goal is to be a better person. I take responsibility for my life. I'm learning to respect all different faiths and traditions. We're all on the same boat of life, sailing together. Bon voyage. Console meetings. What in the world is a console meeting? Good question. This is very difficult to explain. It involves the quantum field, which is beyond time and space. In essence, it's a meeting that takes place where spiritual beings talk about this precious planet. Remember, we are never alone. There's a human evolution taking place on Earth. Yes, it takes time and patience. Everyone on Earth is involved in this process. Carl Jung might call this the unconscious collective awareness of humanity. We are aware of only 1% of the light spectrum. This means we only see a small fraction of the story in life. We really are almost missing the entire story. We just see the physical. Man has been fighting for thousands of years. There's no end in sight. Yet, this is the greatest time to be alive. A great transformation is taking place. Yes, this will take years. It seems like chaos is all around us. Yet millions of people waking up from their slumber. These council meetings take place in the quantum field. Nothing physical exists in that world. It is the power behind all creation. Yet in order to deliver a message, it manifests as a physical meeting. I might have lost you there, yet that's the simplest way I can explain it. There are spiritual beings who absolutely adore the human race. Humans have the capability to discover their true nature. There's a puzzle to solve. You are the universe. You just don't know it. Richard and countless others say this constantly because it's true, and humanity needs to discover this fact. You may recognize many of these spiritual beings. They have never left us. We simply just carry on with our lives and are oblivious to them. They exist inside of you. They never left, yet mankind is texting on the freeway of life.
Gifts of the Spirit. Gifts of the Spirit was a course my wife and I learned at the mystery school. It was one of my favorites. It taught me how to get a direct connection to the higher realms. I finally got what my wife was talking about, the world of the dragons. An inner door was opened to the other manifest worlds, such as the dragons. This led me to my daily walks with the Christ and the dragons, which lasted around 2 years. The dragon world was a combination of light and dark. Imagine when the sun is setting in the sky, then it's a moment where it's not light or dark. Whenever I took my morning walk, this is how it appeared to me. The air was thick with wisdom, bliss, kindness, compassion, and love. Incredible light waves were breaking on the point. Thousands of dragons were flying in the sky. Mind you, in the past they used to fight with each other. They had the same issues that we have today. Anger is anger wherever world you're in. They resolved their anger 2 trillion years ago. Absolute harmony was in the air. They transformed their world from darkness to light. We are on the same journey. Many wise men say it takes around 1 million years of revolution for this to occur. Many civilizations destroy themselves along the way. A world that is constantly angry has no discrimination in its actions. Take a look at our current situation in politics. You will get my drift. A transformed society's main focus is internal, not external. They have gone from me to we. Here's an excerpt from my book, From Me to We.
Just got up. It's 2:22 in the morning. I'm pondering the meaning from me to we. It seems like man has been living the dream for so long. At times it's been a nightmare. At times it's been a beautiful dream. Man has been repeating the same actions for thousands of years. They constantly repeat themselves. Why does man continue to fight wars? Wars have never solved anything, yet we still continue to this day. Each century, our weapons are more sophisticated. Today, we have weapons that can destroy the world 100 times over. Yet, we still are on the lookout to create even more destruction. I love to watch the geese and ducks fly in the sky. My wife and I love it. They fly in incredible formations and can change and morph in many different patterns on the fly. They are in sync with nature. It seems like they are totally united and flying as one. Personally, I think man's problem stems from the fact that we are so identified on me. My nation is better than your nation. My religion is better than yours. I'm going to heaven while you are going to hell. God is on my side and not on your side. It's all me, and me. Currently, we have a president who loves to divide the country. He gets a big kick out of this. His tweets. He tweets whatever comes to his mind. He has no ethics whatsoever. You see, when you aren't aware of your true nature, you act in ways that aren't in harmony with the universe. For example, why don't we elect leaders that are kind, loving, and compassionate? Some are, yet our political system is in shambles. We are totally divided. Our political system is at a standstill. Nothing can get done. Blame is put on both sides of the parties. You see, our mentality is us versus them. We have been this way for thousands of years. Emotionally, man has been stagnant for ever so long. Yet we have progressed in technology. Thousands of people have tried to make this world a better place. The spark of the universe lies inside. This book is about how we can transform from me to we. I believe this is our answer. All the great masters talked about this in their beautiful ways. Man thinks that his consciousness only exists in his brain. He has created himself distant from life itself. According to Einstein, E is equals mc squared. Show me then where consciousness does not exist, inside of a flower or a car. The whole universe is a lie. Man just thinks he is alone.
Once upon a time, many, many moons ago, lived the dragons. They live where the British Isles are today. Now these dragons weren't exactly nice. In fact, they were mean, Dragons in the past were kind and caring, yet over time, they lost their awareness. It may seem strange to us, but they love to bicker and quarrel. They love to be angry. They love to create war. That was their form of excitement. This went on for thousands of years. You see, dragons can live to a dear old age. These dragons cause a lot of discomfort in the countryside in the British Isles. Imagine waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and seeing your precious cow taken away by the dragons. Man would hide all marbles and jewels. The dragons had a sixth sense to find them and steal them. It was true that dragons loved to hoard their wealth. Unfortunately, they couldn't do anything with them. They just loved to sit in their caves and sit on their wealth. Greed came upon them. They didn't know how to share with one another. Consequently, there was a lot of fighting with one another. It seemed like where life was miserable. There was no contentment in their life, no happiness or kindness, not even love. All the dragons were in the same empty boat. They were like ghosts where nothing could fill them up. No wonder man was fearful of the dragons. They were horrible beings. They were up to no good. Man had good reason to be wary of them. During the Crusades, man had the weapons to start fighting the dragons. It was not a glorious time for man and dragons. Many of the traits the dragons had, man embraced. It seemed like man and dragons, at this point in time, had misery in common. Both of them lost the true direction to find the hidden jewel inside. You can't blame them. They never knew it existed inside. The years went by, and the conflict never got better. It just got worse. The dragons were being hunted down and killed one by one. It wasn't a pretty sight. One day, a baby dragon was born during the darkest times. This dragon couldn't relate to anger, war, and greed. All the other dragons thought he was a misfit. All he wanted to do was have fun. He was extremely intelligent and had a lot of humor. He made other dragons laugh. The elders disapproved of this. When he learned to fly, he would go off alone and soar in the sky. He was free at that moment, not a care in the world. He loved that feeling. Somehow he knew that the true nature of a dragon is true freedom. He discovered that kindness, love, compassion, and patience was his true nature. Well, the old elder dragons did not like that at all. They told him that he had to stop this nonsense. You see, the other young dragons liked what they were seeing. They looked how Zoran, the young dragon, was turning their lives upside down. They thought that war, anger, and stealing was truly the way. Now, a young dragon, Zoran, clearly walked on a different path and didn't have a care in the world. Zoran's father had a huge pile of precious jewels, yet Zoran wasn't interested in the slightest. He told his dad the greatest jewels in the universe lie inside. Well, that didn't go over so well. Dad was furious. He was already furious and angry. Remember at that time, the dragons had quite the temper tantrums. Well, this was like putting gasoline on the fire. His dad exploded. Who do you think you are to say such a thing? Zoran knew not to say anything. Sometimes it's wise to be silent. All of the other elders talked with one another about this situation. What are we going to do with Zoran? He is wreaking havoc with his tribe. They decided to give him a little time to see if anything would change. Well, it didn't. Zoran was moment by moment learning how to meditate. He was diving deeper than ever inside of the infinite ocean within. Now you see, these dragons are scared of water. They are fire dragons. Water will extinguish the fire within. Water will extinguish war, anger, and greed. They thought this was their true nature. Zoran discovered something the entire dragon world didn't know. You are the universe. You just don't know it. Well, that was the final straw. They had a council meeting and decided to throw him out. He was still young for a dragon. He was 100 years old. You see, the dragons could live for thousands of years. So he was told to leave and never return. He was cast out of his home. But there's another story to this. A few young dragons decided to go secretly along with Zoran on his grand adventure. Zoran at this time was getting guidance within. One dark and moonless night, they flew out of the cave, never to return again. The rest is history. Zoran hears the east might be a great place to go. They had high and magnificent mountains far from man and other dragons. Up until that time, dragons were extremely rare in the east. They were quite unknown. So they flew away into the darkness of night. The journey was just starting. They had no idea the steps they were going to take. Zoran and his friends traveled only during the night. They didn't want other dragons or man to discover them on their flight. When they flew over the lakes, rivers, seas, and oceans, they would eat the fish along the way. Fish was extremely plentiful. They discovered it was tastier than cows. Furthermore, they didn't have to be worried stealing cows and being captured. Man was slowly learning how to trap the dragons. There were even dragon slayers as a profession. Times have changed. It took 3 solid months to arrive at their destination. They landed in the high mountains in Tibet, far from man and other dragons. It was winter time. They had to fly in fierce snowstorms and bitter winds. Fortunately, they were fire dragons who could keep warm. A water dragon might have frozen to death. Zoran and friends found a beautiful cave to live in. It was huge and had an opening where they could fly in and out. So they set up camp and called it home. Well, winters last for a long time in Tibet, especially at high altitudes. You can only have so much external conversation with one another. Zoran taught them how to meditate. It was slow going at first. None of the dragons realized how powerful the mind was. Zoran simply instructed them to follow their breath. The dragons thought this should be easy. They learned that was more difficult than learning how to fly. You see, even for dragons, flying took time and effort. You had to work at it. They say conquering your mind is the most difficult thing in the universe. Well, the young dragons will completely agree. Since it was winter time, they had all the times in their life. Slowly, they took small baby steps along the way. When winter was over, they took to the skies. They love the external and internal feelings of flying. Wow, I'm free. I'm not bound to anything. The seasons came and went. Winter has arrived again. They spent their time in meditation. Imagine this went on for hundreds of years. Zoran and his friends were discovering they were the universe. The universe existed inside of them. They were truly discovering their true nature. They were becoming wise. They knew how to laugh and play. They truly enjoyed each other's company. These dragons lost their old egos from the past. They became the first master dragons of their time. Mind you, for their time, dragons are eternal. They are timeless. Zoran and his friends discovered that their true essence was the universe. Well, one day, an incident occurred. While the dragons were flying and having a merry good time, some small youngsters saw the dragons in the sky. They got very excited. They heard old folk tales from their ancestors about dragons flying in the sky. As youngsters, they didn't want to worry their parents. Their moms and dads already had too much on their plate. You see, they were farmers and herders. Life was tough enough as it was. They didn't need another burden. These youngsters started to see them flying more, often during the spring, summer, and fall. During the winter, they never saw them. This went on for many seasons. The youngsters married, had children, and their children had children. It was now a common sight to see, yet nobody ever saw them in person. They were like the UFOs we're seeing today. You see them, but never have a close encounter. One day, during spring, a group of youngsters went exploring. They saw this huge cave with a large opening. They decided to go in. They weren't scared, but were hesitant. Slowly, they walked, step by step, into the cave. To their amazement, they saw Zoran and his friends meditating. It was a sight to behold. They weren't scared at all. In fact, they were so happy and full of love. They had never experienced anything quite like it. The dragons woke up and saw the children sitting there with their eyes wide open. They couldn't believe what they saw. Now the dragons don't speak their language, but they have the capability for non-verbal communication. This means without saying words, the children could hear from inside of them what the dragons said. The children never saw such a thing like this before. This started a brand new life for the children. They were told, don't tell anyone else. Someday, when this time is right, we will show ourselves to the village. These children came back day after day. The dragons took them on flying rides, which are still being talked about today. Imagine flying on the backs of the dragons. They never experienced such freedom and joy. The dragons slowly taught them how to meditate. They taught them and showed them that kindness, love, and compassion is the true way to live. They did not preach or try to convince anyone. The dragons were pure and didn't have anything to prove, yet their essence rubbed off on the youngsters. Slowly, over time, they embraced these qualities. Mind you, this was a time in Tibet, in China, where war was all around. The same problems that existed in the West existed in the East. Generation after generation, the youngsters migrated to the dragons. The parents and grandparents knew what was going on. They have spent precious time with the dragons. and took their wisdom into their daily life. You see, the spiritual path is the most practical path. These small villages were becoming wise. One was a young boy named Confucius. He was seeing his transformation from the dragons and put them into practice. He discovered a system that is still in place in China today. All his wisdom came from spending time with the dragons. He then carried it on his journey in life, and we have a great tradition today. One of the earliest students was Lao Tzu. He was truly a man of nature. He spent a considerable amount of time with the dragons. Even at a young age, he was wise beyond his time. Even the dragons were amused at his knowledge and wisdom. At times, it seemed that his wisdom was beyond theirs. Mind you, these dragons were thousands of years old. Lao Tzu was only around 10 years old. Needless to say, there was great friendship and understanding with each other. At that time, China and Tibet couldn't understand the simplicity of Lao Tzu and the dragons. Lao Tzu really didn't care about politics and worldly affairs. He hardly ever went to cities. They were a complete distraction. Man really wasn't open to wisdom or knowledge at this time. So Lao Tzu spent a lot of time with the dragons in nature. You see, Lao Tzu could see the unity of all life. There is a story that when Lao Tzu was going to leave this world, a small group approached him high in the mountains. They begged for some insight and wisdom. Today, we have the Tao Te Ching, one of the greatest books. Lao Tzu went with some dragons and never returned. His wisdom is still alive today. Today, the dragons are revered all over the East. Wherever you go in China, you will see dragons as flags or statues. Their wisdom is still alive today. Unfortunately, in the West, not much has changed. Dragons are something to be fearful of. Stories are still being told of dragons hoarding wealth. Dragon slayers were the savior of mankind. Isn't it amazing? The times really haven't changed much. We still are angry. We still think that wars can solve our issues. Maybe, just maybe, we can learn from the dragon. Our nature is the universe. The new dawning of man is here.
This is where we left off from the previous book, Dragon Tales.
Good night, sweet dreams. So the end of our story is near. You see the cave is still there, but no one is living there. The entire city disappeared into the night. Not a scratch of evidence appears that the huge city even existed. The dragons and man became the universe. When you look at the stars at night, you see them twinkling and waving to you. They are saying, "You are stardust. You are eternal. You are kind." If you want to see this incredible world, it exists inside of you. You have the key to open the door inside of you. The door has always been there. If each one of you did this, peace will be on earth. The dragons are still alive. They exist in your heart. Remember, you are never alone. At times it may seem like it, but in reality, You are never alone. Sweet dreams, my friend. May you find your true home.
Dragon Tales Commentary. I find it fascinating that I wrote Dragon Tales about 5 years before I discovered the 6 yogas of Naropa. There are many isolated mountain regions all around the world, yet the land of Tibet came to me as the foundation to this story. Shambhala came to me in a vision and a story form. The following article I found showed me how synchronicity was manifested in this case. I firmly believe the dragons were one of the first beings to enlighten on a major scale. Yet, it could have been in the unseen world, which means we can't see it with our 2 eyes. The Buddhists believe there are around 65 million worlds, yet there is a thread tying us all together. In the video game of life, we all help one another to progress. It is built into our souls. This is the nature of enlightened beings. I'm saying if the dragons enlightened over 2 trillion years ago, maybe, just maybe, they help humanity along the way. Our known universe is around 14 billion years. We are the new kids on the block. The role of dragons in Tibetan culture and faith. In Tibet, dragons are not just a myth of curiosity. They are part of Tibetan life and culture. These mystical beasts are everywhere, from the beginning of Tibet's history up until today. Like in many countries in East Asia, the Tibetan dragon, or Druk, also known as Bru and Zog, is an indispensable part of the nation's cultural consciousness and identity. The country is even known as the Dragons in the Land of Snows. But unlike its neighbors, the country treats dragons in a slightly different way. As Sachin D. Walker previously noted here on the Tibetan Journal, the Tibetan plateau is relatively isolated. This means that it took some time before Chinese Zen and Feng Shui beliefs were able to assimilate into local draconic lore. Curiously, there's evidence that Indian elements such as the Naga made their way into Tibetan native religion called Bon years before the Tang dynasty influence even entered Tibet. This is electric convergence of Indian and Chinese civilization, of course, is one of the defining characteristics of Tibetan culture. In Tibet, dragons are considered among the 4 dignities, with the other 3 being the tiger, the snow lion, the Garuda. The dragon is believed to have the power of perfect communication and enlightenment, being able to see right through slander and other forms of manipulation. Dragons cannot be seen by the naked eye, but they are known to announce their presence with a thunderous sound that awakens people from false beliefs and perceptions. Tibetan dragons are also used to decorate temple gates and roofs, sometimes holding a mani jewel, which is believed to embody the Buddha's teachings. Because of their prominence, their images are printed on Tibetan prayer flags and prayer wheels, many of which can be seen on the roofs of typical Tibetan homes. In the Tibetan Rata prayer flags, they can be found in the corner together with the other dignities and even a horse. These flags are raised to increase a person's arlok or luck. Interesting, the term Arlong is similar to the Chinese word long, which can be translated to a whole host of different meanings, one of them being dragon. Today, dragons can be seen everywhere across the globe, from everyday settings to fantastic media like movies and games. While Western dragons are mostly seen in fantasy shows and films, Eastern dragons are more ubiquitous as they are present in almost all facets of life. This is true in many Asian countries, including Tibet. They can be found in bags, clothes, cars, and company logos. They even have a presence in games. The mythological creatures are also an inspiration for expats, particularly in the games Dragon Shrine and Emperor of the Sea. The former capitalizes on the larger Asian continent to the dragon, which symbolizes wealth and power, while the latter is filled with imagery from traditional East Asian cultures. Thus, while Westerners see dragons simply as fearsome-looking creatures always ready for battle, people from the East place dragons in a much higher culture and religious regard. Indeed, dragons still fly over the vast Himalayan plateau, and while not many may profess to see or feel them flying through the skies, they are still very much a part of Tibetan rich history and culture. Imagination. Intro. Hi, this is Little Ricky the Dragon. That's what they used to call me when I was young. I have a twin brother called John. We are best of friends. I hope you read the book Dragon Tales. This told our incredible story. It was and still is an incredible adventure. Many stories were told about Shambhala. This is not a fish tale. You'll learn how a bunch of young misfit dragons who couldn't fit in was kicked out of their homes in England. That's where the story begins. They began an incredible external and internal journey. Many of their teachings are still in existence today. The foundation for Taoism, Confucianism, Yogic, Jainism, and Buddhism all stem from our work. You probably don't know that dragons live an extremely long time. We live 5 to 10,000 years. This is even for dragons who party night and day and never take care of themselves. The Enlightened dragons have found the Elixir of Life. They have become one with the universe and no longer have a physical body. That's why you can enter into our cave and see no evidence of us. The entire community of dragons and men went to the unknown. This has happened only a few times in your history. In your Americas, a few indigenous tribes also learned how to do this. We learn how to be in balance with the universe. This is something you need to learn in quite a desperate way. Mankind is spinning chaos all around. Your minds are out of control. Nobody taught you how to master your mind and emotions. We went through the same problems you did. Even when we landed in Tibet, we had no control of our minds and emotions. Just like you today, except we were dragons. Yet somehow we learned along the way. Being in a cave helped a lot. We only flew at night. That was the safe time to do so. We loved flying amidst the stars. It was total freedom. Well, at least we thought so. Somehow we gradually learned how to meditate. It was by happenstance. Zoran was just sitting there staring at the wall, and he felt this incredible power behind his breath. He got so excited and still at the same time. He told us his story. Gradually, we began to learn how to meditate. Most of the time, it was a hit and miss, yet we kept up with it. What are you going to do during the daytime? We did this for 5,000 years. You can imagine by practicing something for 5,000 years, one got quite good at this. We became enlightened dragons. War and strife left our consciousness a long time ago. Our minds became one. We were one with the universe, and yet still existing in a dragon body. When the young Tibetan kids showed up, we were astonished to say the least. They were in the same mindset we were in thousands of years ago. They were young and innocent, yet they had no idea of how magnificent they were. They asked us to train them. Well, we never taught humans before. Thousands of years ago, they would hunt us down one by one and kill us. Not a pretty picture. This is how Shambhala got started. We had a huge cave. I mean a huge cave. An entire city could have lived there. Over 1,000 years we built this entire city. It was known throughout the land, but still was a secret. One had to have a good heart to enter this kingdom. We still had our share of mystics, yet even they transformed. You see, the power of love and kindness will melt any negative emotions over time. There were only a small handful out of millions who didn't transform. This book is the teaching of the dragons. One can achieve enlightenment from these teachings. As I said before, many of the world's religions stem from these teachings. We all have friends that are with us. Buddha has been following me around for a long time. My parents had a Buddhist statue, where as a kid, I would get mesmerized by just staring at it. It took all my troubles and worries as a young child away. In my teens, I began a formal meditation practice, which I still do today. My practice is the foundation of my life. I once had a past life regression when my twin brother John, Mark Laurenhurst, and I were students of Buddha. I could see it in my mind's eye. Even today, I can close my eyes and visions will appear. Of course, I can't prove it, Grin, yet the impressions are there. Milarepa is another guy. When I first read the book on Milarepa, it was also mesmerizing. I lived in Ashland, Oregon for some time, and there was a beautiful temple that came from the Kagu lineage. My wife and I went to the temple a few times, but never heard about how to study with them. Anyway, this is going to be an incredible journey. Both Christ, Buddha, Ramakrishna, and Milarepa have been friends with me for such a long time. Once again, how can you explain that? Yet I most certainly know that we are never alone. This journey is both internal and external. What can I say? We are all blessed. Palden Lano. Palden Lamo, as the female guardian spirit of the sacred lake Lamo Latsu, promised the first Dalai Lama in a vision that she would protect the reincarnation lineage of the Dalai Lamas. Since the second Dalai Lama, who formalized this system, regents and other monks have gone to the lake to meditate and seek guidance on choosing the next reincarnation through visions. The particular form of Palden Lamo and Lamo Latsu is Gelmo Mazar Ma, or Makik. It is the pacified expression of the common wife, Palmen Lamo, an unusual peaceful form of Palmo Lama. The lake is sometimes referred to as the Palmo Lamo Kali Deva, indicating that she is an emanation of the goddess Kali. The mountains to the south of Chokorel Monastery is the blue residence of Palden Lama, on which a sky burial site is located. The monastery was originally built in a triangular form to reflect the symbolism of its position at the confluence of three rivers and surrounded by three mountains, and also represents the conjunction of the three elements of water, earth, and fire, as well as the female principle of Palden Lama in the symbolic form of an inverted triangle. Usually, Palden Mano refers to the Galupa version of her as a wrathful emanation of Saraswati. I find it fascinating that Palden Lama is also an emanation of Kali. Sri Ramakrishna on the Divine Mother. As recorded by M. in Sri Ramakrishna's Gautamrita. Excerpts from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna by Swami Nityananda. Mother has revealed everything to me. I wept before the Mother and prayed, "Oh Mother, please tell me, please reveal to me what the yogis have realized through yoga and the jnanis through discrimination." And the Mother has revealed everything to me. She reveals everything if the devotee cries to her with a yearning heart. She has shown me everything that is in the Vedas, the Vedanta, the Puranas, and the Tantra. The Divine Mother revealed to me in the Kali Temple that it was she who had become everything. She showed me that everything was full of consciousness. The image was consciousness. The water was consciousness. The altar was consciousness. The water vessels were consciousness. The door sill was consciousness. The marble floor was consciousness. All was consciousness. I found everything inside the room soaked, as were in bliss, the bliss of Sat Chitanand. I saw a wicked man in front of the Kali temple, but in him also I saw the power of the Divine Mother vibrating. That is why I fed a cat with the food that was to be offered to the Divine Mother. I clearly perceived that the Divine Mother herself had become everything, even the cat. The manager of the temple garden wrote to Mother Babu saying I was feeding the cat with the offering intended for the Divine Mother. But Matur Babu had insight into the state of my mind. He wrote back to the manager, "Let him do whatever he likes. You must not say anything to him. To my Divine Mother, I pray only for pure love. I offer flowers at her divine feet and pray to her, Mother, here's thy virtue, here's thy vice. Take them both and grant me only pure love for thee. Here's thy knowledge, here's thy ignorance. Take them both and grant me only pure love for thee. Here's thy purity, here's thy impurity. Take them both, Mother, and grant me only pure love for thee. Here's thy Dharma, here's thy Dharma. Take them both, Mother, and grant me only pure love for thee." Ramakrishna and his student Vivekananda went and studied Tantra for a weekend and mastered that in a few days. So goes the description. Ramakrishna was a devotee of Shiva. None of that limits him to any specific thing. He was already a yogi before taking Tantra. He was a major yogi in the revival of non-dualism. He was all of these things and nothing specific. A person who takes chemistry can also take biology. Neither one limits a person. Same in yoga. A yogi can be experienced in all sorts of things. What is empowerment? Empowerment, or granting empowerment, refers to the Vajrahara ritual, which awakens the special capacity for primordial wisdom to arise in the mind of the disciple. It is called empowerment because we receive it. We are empowered to follow a particular spiritual practice and so come to master its realization. It is said in the secret mantra vehicle, there can be no accomplishment without empowerment, for that would be like a boatman without oars. And also, without empowerment, there's no accomplishment. You can't get oil from pressing sand. Empowerment can only be granted by a qualified Vajra master. It requires for the students receiving them to maintain the specific Vajrayana precepts on the basis of their refuge, and bodhisattva vows. Rinpoche reminds us of the real meaning of empowerment. The most common description of Abhiheseka is that it's a transfer of power during a ceremony to give recipients the authorization to hear, study, and practice the teachings of the Vajrayana. We therefore receive an empowerment. But the problem is that receiving an empowerment suggests someone is giving us a power we previously lacked, and is a long ways away from the true spirit of tantric initiation. During initiation, we are introduced to the aspect of ourselves that already exists within us, but that we have yet to recognize. And it is the activation of this recognition that we call empowerment or initiation. This is the real meaning of Abhiheseka. Dalai Lama Empowerment. Last Sunday, my wife and I took the Dalai Lama Empowerment for Lama Glen. What an incredible and uplifting experience that was. After the empowerment, I took an incredible nap. I had incredible visions of the dragon world. It was so vivid and real. In this vision, I got the message to write this book. The dragons have enlightened over 2 trillion years ago. Many other Tumo practices came from these enlightened beings. I was shown how the dragons practiced Tumo inside of me. For a short time, I became their chakra system. Can't exactly put it into words. The experience was highly magnified when this occurred. The teacher of the course appeared as dragons along with the Dalai Lama. Yes, it's possible that I could have made it up, yet the generation of love, compassion, bliss, and kindness you don't make up. Even so, imagination is one of the keys to unlocking the doors within. Logical thinking never unlocks the door within. In the 6 yogas of Naropa tradition, imagination is a very important key. It helps one to discover one's true nature. I love the following quote. During initiation, we are introduced to an aspect of ourselves that already exists within us, but that we have to recognize. And it is the activation of this recognition that we call empowerment or initiation. I've had less than 10 empowerments or initiations in my life. Each one has been quite profound. Dragon history and Tumo. Everyone knows that fire dragons breathe fire. Of course, we all do. When they get really angry, they can incinerate anyone around them. Just ask the poor citizens in England who felt their wrath. Even in the beginning of Shambhala, the young and innocent dragons had anger problems. They would at times blow up and get angry. Even after years of meditation, this serious problem occurred. Yet they stumbled upon chance, or was it a chance? A different, more subtle fire within them. They happened to stumble upon Tumo, the fire of life. Slowly, this ancient wisdom was absorbed by them. They discovered the chakra systems and the channels within. They discovered nadis, which are like thousands of rivers running in the body. Mind you, in the coarse body, these can't be seen. Therefore, most people laugh and snicker when they hear such a thing. This process took around 5,000 years, even before the young Tibetans arrived. It took about 1,000 years for the Tibetans and the Indians to implement both their teachings and the dragon's teaching. Both of the systems were almost identical. They understood there was a coarse body and subtle body. They also understood there is a very subtle body that is infinite, beyond time and space. They would call this the Buddha body. Furthermore, they discovered the Buddha mind. They also understood Austrian physicist Edward Schrödinger is known for this phrase. The total number of minds in the universe is one. In fact, consciousness is a singularity phasing within all beings. There is one universal mind, or Buddha mind. These stages take place every night and bring you back to the source. Mystics and yogis have been practicing this for thousands of years. Slowly, over time, this Tummo system was developed. The Tibetan Buddhists have a comprehensive system by using Tummo. They may be different and have their nuances, yet the result is one and the same. This lineage has been carried on into today. Tummo is the foundation of their practice. Most people never discover the fire within and lead such an ordinary life. The wise man kindles the fire within and makes a bonfire. The fire then destroys all negative obstacles over time. This is just the tip of the iceberg. This system can be quite complicated, yet Glenn Mullen keeps it quite simple to use and understand. The following, the 8 stages of dissolution, is a riddle for you to solve. Ponder this over. Tummo. Commentary. I've been concentrating on my chakras for about 10 years. I first did this over 30 years ago in the ashram in the sky in Ashland, Oregon. The practice of Tummo took it a couple of thousand steps up. The 6 yogas of Naropa has been a living, oral, and a written tradition for a very long time. They understood the mechanics of spiritual transformation. I'm overwhelmed by the knowledge that they have. My current understanding and practice got magnified beyond what I thought was possible. Everything was in sync, and I was in a perfect place at a perfect time. Sometimes blessings will come from places you would never expect it. I discovered this course on Facebook. As you probably know, I love to think outside the box. This practice of Tummo definitely is outside of the normal box. I always say that the operating system, hardware, and software have been there since we were born. This practice of Tummo is teaching me at a much more higher and practical level. I'm so grateful to be part of the process. Millions of people are waking up from their slumber. I always say, the more attention you pay to something, the more attention it pays to you. I just witnessed another series of incredible synchronicities that occurred. This life is an incredible journey. POA. The POA practice, or transference of consciousness at the time of death, is a simple, powerful means of ejecting the consciousness from the crown aperture into the Buddha field of Amitabha, aka the land of paradise, bypassing the bardos and avoiding rebirth in the 6 realms of cyclic existence. Sufficiently trained practitioners can facilitate this transfer of consciousness for others as well as themselves. Once in paradise, one does not return to the samsaric realms and can quickly attain enlightenment. Marco the translator said, "If you study Poa, then at the time when death is approaching you, you will have no despair. If beforehand you have become accustomed to the path of Poa, then at the time of death, you will be full of cheerful confidence." Can you imagine if you could practice dying every single day? Just think if you did that, one would never fear death. Life and death are the same thing. Absolute bliss is your true nature. In the 6 yogas in Naropa, there's a simple process that one can do daily. This process also helps one to let go of the boulders, rocks, pebbles, and weeds within. Can you imagine dying with a blissful smile on your face? In the West, it's almost forbidden to talk about death. Life and death is a natural process. Even the universe is born and will eventually die. This is the nature of all things. The Buddhists have about 30 different heavenly realms one can go to. How would you like to choose your realm before you die? If you are Christian, one can learn how to daily sync up with the kingdom of heaven that exists within. Once again, we were never taught this in our schools. The 8 stages of dissolution. This is a rabbit hole we are on every day in our lives. Whenever we go to sleep, we go through these 8 stages. Mind you, we are unaware of them. Every night we go to heaven, yet we are unaware of it. When a person dies, these same steps take place. A wise man practices dying every day. He realizes that only the body dies. You are the universe. You just don't know it. Australian physicist Edward Schrödinger is known for this phrase. The total number of minds in the universe is 1. In fact, consciousness is a singularity phasing within all beings. There is one universal mind. These stages take place every night and bring you back to the source. Mystic and yogis have been practicing this for thousands of years. You can solve this puzzle. The answer lies inside of you. The operating system, hardware, and software have been there since you were born. The sun is always there. That is your true nature. You have simply placed dark clouds around you. Remove the clouds within and discover your true nature. Stage 1, earth into water. Stage 2, water into air. Stage 3, fire into air. Stage 4, air into consciousness. Stage 5, consciousness into luminance. Stage 6, luminance into radiance. Stage 7, radiance into immanence. Stage 8, immanence into transparency.
A wise man smiles and laughs at death. He dies every day and sees the unity of life. He realizes death is simply changing into new clothes. We don't cry when we wear a new outfit. Everything in this universe is created and destroyed. Even the universe. Yet behind that lies the source of all creation, which is eternal.
Aloha. Commentary. I mentioned this previously in my chapter, Sri Ramakrishna on the Divine Mother. I loved how Sri Ramakrishna saw the unity of all things. Ramakrishna and his student Vivekananda went and studied Tantra for a weekend and mastered that in a few days. So goes the description. Ramakrishna was a devotee of Shiva. None of that limits him to any specific thing. He was already a yogi before taking Tantra. He was a major yogi in the revival of non-dualism. He was all these things and nothing specific. A person who takes chemistry can also take biology. Neither one limits the person. Same in yoga. A yogi can be experienced in all sorts of things. I've been doing this practice for a few weeks now. I'm blown away by how powerful and practical this is. I firmly believe that the world would be in a better place if we all did this practice. A few tweaks could be given to the various spiritual practices people have. Each religion has a different way of looking at the pie of life. Yet the core practice could be modified so anybody could use it. Imagine a Christian could learn how to die daily and experience the inner kingdom inside. This would take him to an entirely different level in the video game of life. People learn how to be tolerant of each other. We are all on the same boat sailing home together. Our world would totally transform if we all did this. Illusory body. The definition of illusory body is as follows. A body made of subtle energy, wind, that one attains through advanced methods on the complete stage of the Tantra. Listen to Lama Glenn's interview. Illusory body, yoga's awaking, sleep, and death. Glenn Mullen. You are the universe. You just don't know it. I find it incredible that we have the hardware, software, an operating system put into place, yet we have no idea it even exists. The illusory body is beyond time and space. Scientists might call it the quantum field. You were never born, nor will you ever die. Yes, your body will die someday. Illusory body is one of the 6 yogas of the completion or perfection stage of the Tantra practice. It is a profound yoga of training in both the pure and the impure illusionary body. Pure illusionary body is the training to transform our bodies into the Buddha body
and the unpure illusionary body is the practice of working with our ordinary physical body, our subtle body, our dream body, and our after-death between Bardo, thought body. Following the great yogi and doctor Yuthorth Yongdang Gampo 1126-1202, Dr. Nida considers this practice to be a direct and powerful Vajrayana psychotherapy designed to authentically free us from all impure and superficial concepts we have about ourselves, teaching us ultimately how to use our wisdom mind to transform our body into that of an enlightened deity form of a Buddha. In other words, this is our true nature. This is our true state of mind. Unfortunately, we are only focused externally. In the 6 yogas, this system is slowly incorporated into one's life. Through one's practice, a person is constructing the mechanics to build this body within. This is a misnomer, however. Your true nature is the Buddha body and Buddha mind. Yet this practice allows the transformation to occur inside of you. This is alchemy at its finest. The practice of the clear light of the illusionary body brings one to the state of enlightenment. This is your true nature. The 6 yogas of Naropa streamline the process to enlightenment. It bypasses many steps along the way. It strips out many different steps that some Buddhas have created along the way. It provides tools that one can use daily in one's life. It is a practical path, not a theoretical path. In this class, I have a greater understanding of this process. I've been meditating on my chakras for years, yet this class brought me to a greater understanding and helped me in my process. I learned about hidden elixirs that can be accessed along the way. I knew these existed, yet this path provides means to tap into the subtle chemicals of life. These subtle chemicals are both physical and non-physical. Scientists know this body is a chemistry set. The world is in chaos, and our healthcare system reflects that. One who learns to be in balance and harmony understands what I'm talking about. Many of the world's diseases could be eliminated if we got rid of the stress levels in our life. Billions of people can't turn off the faucet of adrenaline when trying to sleep at night. The toss and turning throughout the night. Most diseases are caused by stress. Maybe next time when a person laughs at the chakra system, one should ponder. All matter is nothing but the quantum field. Maybe, just maybe, the human body is made up of this field. Scientists know that the universe is quantum energy.
Your body is your drugstore. The art of Taoism has been around for thousands of years. I find it quite fascinating that they talk about the elixir of life. This elixir is not an herb or any external substance. This elixir exists inside of us. In India, they talk about the nectar from God that flows within. Yet here we are taking drugs for our ailments. Each drug has a huge side effect. No, I'm not saying don't take drugs. I'm saying maybe there is a better way. For example, in China, You pay your doctor when you are healthy. You don't pay when you are sick. Mind you, in modern China, this isn't always the case. But the point is that you focus on balance and harmony. In our culture, everything is fragmented. We don't focus on the harmony of the mind, body, and soul connection. When I was young, I heard about the concept of being in harmony with the universe. To be quite frank, I had no idea what they were talking about. Here's an example of being out of balance. In my junior year, my parents took our family to Yosemite. It's probably one of the most incredible places on the planet. Yet, I couldn't see the forest from the trees. I was miserable. Why? Because I missed the ocean. Now, that's being out of balance. Before we can begin to be in harmony with the universe, let's try to be in harmony with the planet Earth. Currently, man has divorced himself from our precious Earth. We pride ourselves with the technology that we have, yet we are totally emotionally immature with the Earth. Where am I going with this? Imagine if man was in absolute harmony with the Earth. Can you imagine the wisdom that it has? It might tell you that your body is your drugstore. Every thought, whether positive or negative, secretes over 1,500 positive or negative chemicals. Currently, most of America is totally out of balance. Look at the problems today. I used to work for the USDA. I saw my friends taking up vaping. I couldn't believe how much smoke came out when they exhaled. It was at least 5 times the smoke from regular smoking. No wonder there is such an epidemic. Imagine there are drugs existing inside of you that are dormant. In order to receive them, you must be in balance and harmony. In each and every moment, we have the opportunity to be conscious and aware. Currently, we are playing the same tapes over and over again. I can guarantee you that these elixirs of life work better than any physical drugs. Your body has the intelligence to produce these for you. How many people listen to their bodies? How many people monitor their thoughts? How many people dive into silence? How many people monitor their actions? You see, there is a moment-by-moment conscious event. When we are unconscious, chaos exists. Look at the world around you. Does it seem to be in balance and harmony? The question is, do you want to change? Are you content with the current conditions? This isn't just Richard on a soapbox. I'm asking real questions. What do you think? You are your savior. Nobody's going to save you except yourself. All the scriptures point the way, but we must walk on this path. This human body is hardwired to find God within. We are on this incredible journey to discover our true nature. We are out of balance, and yet we can learn how to be in balance. These are exciting times. Millions of people are waking up.
Clear light. I always knew there was a light inside of me. Yet before I started to meditate,
or we get fleeting glimpses once in a while. Our true nature is clear light, yet because our focus is externally, we are oblivious of it. For many, it seems like hocus pocus. Good old Albert talked much about the quantum field. Everything comes from that source. We see only 1% of the light spectrum. As I said many times before, we have the hardware, software, and operating system set in place. Just think you want to start a bonfire. You need fuel to start the fire, and more fuel to ultimately make the bonfire. The Buddhists and dragons discovered a system within where one could add precious fuel to the bonfire. Certain techniques are used to dissolve the blocks that we have within. Supreme alchemy is used to rewire both the physical and subtle bodies. Clear light is our essence. Over time, one sees this clear light, and one's attention is absorbed into this clear light in waking consciousness. Mind you, that person still has afflictions, but that person is consciously working to dissolve them. The goal is to become one with this clear light while being alive. One becomes united with the universe. One becomes in harmony and balance with life. We live such stressful lives that this seems like a fairy tale. Billions of people can't turn off the faucet of the adrenaline. They toss and turn all night. A mind that is in a high beta state will never see this clear light. Yet every night, during sleep, we return to this clear light. Upon dying, one sees this clear light and returns to the source. There are many different systems to connect and ultimately become one with this light. The 6 yogas of Naropa is one of them. It involves building a new circuit, both physical and non-physical. We have to learn how to rewire within. Our current day state of mind will never lead us home. Our afflictions never serve us, yet we are so conditioned by them. So what is this clear light? Imagine seeing a light that contains all. Imagine this light contains supreme bliss, love, and compassion towards all. Imagine this light contains all wisdom. Before this universe was created, this clear light existed. This is your true state of being. The universe was created. This universe will be destroyed. Yet behind that, the clear light will always be. You are a part of this. Yet currently, we only think about our petty lives. We are a part of the problem of why chaos exists on this planet. The 6 yogas of Naropa streamlines the process. It provides the main essentials for one to become enlightened. Granted, it takes effort. There have been many people who have become enlightened using this system. Even if one doesn't do it during this lifetimes, one's life is changed forever. There is a path that goes on forever. There's never going to be a time where you will clap your hands and say, I know everything there is. We are continuously growing and learning. We are going from darkness to light. This is the video game of life. What level are you on? There are infinite levels to play on. You can solve this riddle. The answer exists inside of you. Dreams. The following is part of an article by Yogananda called Life is a Dream. Life is a cosmic movie projected within the screen of consciousness. I look at the beam of God's light, which is projecting these scenes on the streets of life, consciousness. I see the pictures of the whole universe coming from this beam. Another time I was sitting in a movie theater watching a movie on a screen, and then I looked into the projection booth. I saw that projectionist was not interested in the movie because he had seen it over and over again. Instead, he was reading a book. The projector was doing its job. There was the sound, and the beam of light was casting realistic images on the screen. And there was the audience, caught up in the drama. From age to age, from civilization to civilization, the same old movies are shown over and over again, only with different characters playing the parts. When I took my gaze from the light of the projector and looked at the audience in the movie theater, I saw that they were going through all the emotions of the actors in the movie. They were suffering with the hero and reacting to the evil of the villain. To the audience, it was a tragic experience. To the operator in the projection booth, it was only a movie. And so it is with God. He has created, imagined movies of light and shadows, the hero and the villain, good and evil, and we are the audience and the actors. It is only because we identify with the play too much as being real that we are in trouble. Without shadows as well as light constructs, there could be no picture. Evil is the shadow that converts the one beam of God's light into pictures or forms. Therefore, evil, contrasting with good, is the shadow of God that makes this play possible. The dark shadows of evil are mixed with the pure white beams of the virtues of God. He wants you not to take these pictures so seriously. Here's what I have so far about the various dream states. Daydreaming, dreaming at night, life is a cosmic dream, living a dream or a nightmare, illusions, what you see might not be real, the cosmic dream, lucid dreaming, dreaming to accomplish goals, piercing the dream to see the dream fade away and see only the crystal light, brain chemistry dreams, advanced cosmic dreams. For the past 2 years, I've been consciously paying attention to the whole sleep cycle. I'm in a meditative state, watching myself. Somehow going from that conscious state, I haven't watched that transition yet. Many times when I'm in a dream state, I see the dream dissolving in the crystal clear light state. This has happened quite frequently, where I'm aware that behind our dreams lies the essence of all that is. Recently, when I'm in a meditative state engulfed in light, the whole scene collapses and time and space is suspended. It is quite surreal. I see that time and space as a construct, yet there's something even beyond that. My motto lately is the more you pay attention to something, the more attention it pays to you. When I sleep, I try to meditate at the same time. Slowly, one can learn how to be in a sleep state and be conscious and aware of the inner jewel. One's body can be in a sleep state, while at the same time, one can be in a state of bathing in light and bliss. I'm looking forward to learning more about the dream work the Tibetans do. Here's the essence I got from Lama's Glen's YouTube video. Going to sleep in Buddhism is like dying every day. One goes back to the source and returns to everyday life. Usually, this is unconscious. Death is returning back to the source
and only the body dies. I call this going into a different room in the mansion of life. Glenn told a story about listening to classic music in his classroom. He had an out-of-body experience going to heaven. Angels were all around. He heard the laughter of angels. At some point, a kid was poking Glenn in the stomach and woke him up. All the kids were laughing in the class. To the kids, he just fell asleep smiling. Glenn was swept to the heavenly realm. Ramakrishna said the external beauty would help trigger him into ecstatic levels of consciousness. Glenn says, I wasn't with the angels. I was making a fool of myself in front of my fellow students. Yet, he did get transported into the heavenly realms. Sometimes our external stimuli will help trigger a divine experience. The Buddhists say that parents don't choose us. We choose our parents. Bardo Yoga. The Tibetan word Bardo means literally intermediate state, also translated as transitional state or in-between state or liminal state. In Sanskrit, the concept has a name, Antabhava. It is a concept which arose soon after the Buddha's passing, with a number of earlier Buddhist groups accepting the existence of such an intermediate state, while other schools rejected it. Used loosely, the term Bardo refers to the state of existence intermediate between two lives on earth. According to Tibetan traditions, after death and before one's next birth, when one's consciousness is not connected with the physical body, one experiences a variety of phenomena. These usually follow a particular sequence of degeneration from just after death, the clearest experience of reality of which one is spiritually capable, and then proceeding to terrifying hallucinations that arise from the impulses of one's previous unskilled actions. For the prepared and the appropriate trained individuals, the Bardo offers a state of great opportunity for liberation, since transcendental insight may arise with the direct experience of reality, while for others it can become a place of danger, as the karmically created hallucinations can impel one into a less than desirable rebirth. Francis Freemantle states that there are 6 traditional Bardo states known as the 6 Bardos: the Bardo of this life, the Bardo of meditation, the Bardo of dream, the Bardo of dying, the Bardo of dharmata, and the Bardo of existence. The first Bardo begins when we take birth and endures as long as we live. The second is the Bardo of dreams. The third is the Bardo of concentration or meditation. The fourth occurs at the moment of death. The fifth is known as the Bardo of the luminosity of the true nature. The sixth is called the Bardo of transmigration or karmic becoming. Kanyan Bardo is the first Bardo of birth and death. This Bardo commences from conception until the last breath, when the mind stream withdraws from the body. Milam Bardo is the second Bardo of the dream state. The Milam Bardo is a subset of the first Bardo. Dream Yoga develops practices to integrate the dream state into Buddhist sadhana. Samstem Bardo is the third Bardo of meditation. This Bardo is generally only experienced by meditators, though individuals may have spontaneous experience of it. Samten Bardo is a subset of the Sanye Bardo.
Chikai Bardo is the fourth bardo of the moment of death. According to tradition, this bardo is held to commence when the outer and inner signs presage that the onset of death is nigh, and continues to the dissolution or transmutation of the Mahabhuta until the external and internal breath has completed. Chonai Bardo is the fifth bardo of the luminosity of the true nature, which commences after the final inner breath. It is within this bardo that visions and auditory phenomena occur. In the Dogen teachings, these are known as spontaneous manifesting visions. Concomitant to these visions, there is a welling of profound peace and pristine awareness. Sentient beings who have not practiced during their lived experience and or who do not recognize the clear light at the moment of death are usually deluded throughout the fifth bardo of luminosity. Sidpa Bardo is the sixth bardo of becoming or transmigration. This bardo endures until the inner breath commences in the new transmigrating form determined by the karmic seeds within the storehouse consciousness.